My name is David Ford. I'm a principal here at Walter P. Moore, and I've been with the firm since 2005. And I'm also what we call enclosure diagnostics. I'm the practice director for enclosure diagnostics. So I was really excited that I had the opportunity to do the first MooreChat for the firm. And I wanted to talk about facade interventions because I spent quite a bit of my career working on those kind of projects. I was thinking about it this morning that I've probably had the opportunity to work on over 1,000 building facades in my career. I've been able to work on projects from Canada all the way down to Panama, so all over North America. Each of these facades, they all have their own life to the building, but the facades really speak for the building and cultivate that history and that life. And at some point, just like in everyone's story in life, you have to have some type of disruption or intervention. What we do as an interventionist is really disrupting what's going on with the current state of the facade systems. And I look at it, we talk about disruption quite a bit now in the overall world, trying to disrupt different industries. You got folks disrupting the stock market. And we have to do the same thing with facades at some point in their life, because we either need to make them perform better and maybe use them to enhance protection of the building, or we just want to extend their life, extend their service life. And we try to bring a whole life cycle philosophy to our projects and to these interventions. And it occurred to me doing all these projects that there's a kind of a grouping of interventions, so to say, that we always tend to get involved with. You can see here on a couple of photos, this is a project I'm working on right now where literally this building is crying or weeping when it gets really cold. When we had the really cold temperatures a couple of weeks ago, the building's literally crying out ice and liquid because the facades aren't performing correctly. One of the three groups that I've spent a lot of time working on in my career is more of the reactive interventions, where something's going wrong with the facade system, the exterior walls, they're not performing, they're letting water in or air in. Just last week I was at another project at a university, and they have a building where literally the brick is falling apart, spalling and cracking, where you can go up to the building and pick the brick apart with your hands. And so those kind of projects I've worked on over the years, and doing assessments and helping the owners or architects or contractors figure out what we need to do to make those buildings perform better. Caveat off of that is, once you kind of get those buildings to perform better, what type of interventions can we do to prevent ever having to do those reactive type projects? And we're starting to see a lot more I'd say preventative type of interventions. Just this morning, I was on a project call, and we had a really thoughtful discussion. There's a building, multi-story building, that had a fire at the exterior lighting of the building, and that fire actually migrated through the exterior wall system up several levels. And so now we're having an opportunity to do repairs, and we're working with the owner, the architect, contractors, and we're working through the most optimal strategy so that we can prevent a future fire for having these negative effects where you literally had smoke going up from the ground level up higher into the building. So we're working through designs at the exterior wall for how we can improve it and do preventative type repairs. And the third grouping I'd like to talk about is proactive interventions, which we're starting to do a lot more of as well. And that's where you may not actually have an issue as far as performance or protection, but you have an opportunity to rebrand your building and reposition it. We've worked on a hospital where we were able to work with the clients, and they wanted to reprogram the usage of the hospital, but also rebrand the exterior, renew the whole life around the facility, and think about impacts of climate change. They were thinking very proactively about how they could use their facade as part of their overall kind of business concept from a hospital, and how they interact with the community. And so that project was pretty enlightening, and we were able to do some recladding. And so as we talk about all these different types of interventions, the process that we use is the same. It hasn't changed fundamentally. What's changed now is the technologies we're able to use. When I first started doing facade assessments and repair designs, we would literally take blueprints from the building, and we take them to a copier, and we copy, and then we'd have elevations, and we put them on a clipboard, and we go to the field and document what was wrong. Now what we're doing, we have everything digitized. We can take tablets to the field. We can document issues. The tablet calculates everything that's where it is, how much, what the quantity is. We're able to use drones to do assessments, and we're moving a lot further towards what we call BIM the FIM, which is taking drawings and using them for facility management purposes. So really thinking about your facade as an asset management tool, and how you can do maintenance and different interventions over the life. And so it's really exciting time to be involved with facades, and seeing where the technology is taking us. Future uses of artificial intelligence is also coming on board, and we're starting to look at ways to utilize that on our projects to kind of give an overall view of interventions of facades, and like to open up to folks out there who might have some questions or feedback, and what we can do for different types of problems or opportunities with your facade systems.
Well, how do you, regarding the exterior facades and your recommendation, do you provide the product to use, the company to use? What type of is it chemistry? Is it chemicals? Is it paint? What's the process that you provide? Do you provide that information to the client?
Well, we're a consultant, so we work with the client to identify what the issues are with the facade.
Right.
That whole history, and we do specifications. We work with them different options for those interventions I was talking about. Okay. So we put together the drawings and specifications. We work hands-on with the contractors and the owners.
So if there's something that we feel we can provide you that would be very interesting in the chemistry process, would you be interested in seeing that possibility?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to send you some information if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Basically, as a matter of fact, if you look at the launching pad on 39A, which is being launched, which is being used by SpaceX, was treated with a chemistry under Sure-Treat Solutions in 1999. It's still going strong, no damage, and no impurities, penetration, waterproofing, the whole ball of wax. So I thought maybe something you'd be interested in, if I can send that information, okay? Oh, this is great. We appreciate that. We've learned a lot. I didn't realize the amount of work that's done regarding exterior facades and problems that occur. I would assume that the moisture penetration, bricks falling apart, deterioration, most likely contamination of air contamination, which causes a number of problems with the facades. I know, being Italian, a lot of the churches and exterior churches have been, because of air contamination, is destroying a lot of the exterior facades of some of the churches and the statues that are there in Italy. So.
Yeah, one of the major issues in the U.S. is air leakage. So whether it's air leakage from the inside or air leakage from the outside passing through the exterior wall, and the damage that the moisture in that air can do to the sides. And I mean, even We have projects. We were just talking about one that I was talking about this morning with the fire issue. Especially today with the high winds, it's really just an uncomfortable building because those winds are transmitting through the facade because of a lack of an air barrier. And so that's one of the interventions that we were talking through this morning. Is it possible? Is it feasible to make some updates to the facade to improve its performance as far in regards to air movement? And those are really challenging repairs because how do you do it over a whole facade in an optimal way, cost-effective way?
I'm assuming if the exterior facade is pretty well sealed, how does that affect the quality of the air inside that building or that structure? Is there a problem with that?
Yeah, a lot of buildings aren't very well sealed. The use of air barriers in exterior wall systems is probably taken off here in the last 10 years because of the building code. Yeah. So we have quite a bit of buildings where they were breathable, and that wasn't maybe a big issue historically, but once we introduce HVAC systems and high demands of use from the building users and extreme temperatures, those walls become, or sometimes become conduits for air leakage, and they create problems where, especially now with COVID factors as well, we're looking at ways to either tighten buildings up or make them more open. It just depends on the situation, the story of that building.
Can you, as in more proprietary, but could you delineate how you would do that in some instances? In getting the building more sealed, is there a process you use or different processes or different manufacturers provide information or material?
It's a forensic process. We use tools. A lot of it is common sense if you understand the details. So a lot of it's just understanding the details on paper, but then we can use non-destructive testing tools. We use thermography. We do lower door type testing. So there's a lot of ways you can qualitatively and quantitatively measure air movement across a building facade. And there's many entities, particularly the federal government in the U.S., that are mandating a certain minimum amount of air leakage that is allowed now in the buildings that they build, as far as GSA type buildings or military buildings. And so it's really putting a higher demand on proper detailing up front, where we have to do commissioning of building enclosure systems, just like we would commission the mechanical systems, so that they actually can perform as designed. So that's a service that we do here at Walter P. Moore as well. Does a
builder only call you? How does that process work? Do they contact you directly? Because they may have a problem?
Yeah, definitely. We get called all the time directly from owners. We work with architects. We work with contractors. Sometimes we work with the facility managers or property managers who run the buildings. We come to the table from many different angles. So.
All right, great. Well, this is wonderful. Thank you for all this information. It's very enlightening to understand what you're doing, and it's a great thing you're doing, by the way. Environmentally, basically, that's keeping everybody hopefully warm and cold in a very way in the summer and cold and warm in the winter.
David, sorry, we have a question from the chat box from Noah. Could you elaborate more on the transition from BIM models of new buildings to facility management systems you alluded to as the building ages?
As we do new construction now, the status or the tools everything we do is in BIM and let's say Revit. The drawings for the building are in these models, okay? So we're able to use those models and transform them into not just a construction use, but a facility management use. So you can take those same models and you can work with the owners to establish what they want to know about, let's say, their facade system, and you set up the models to where they're able to use it so that they can do facility asset management or facade asset management. So, they can click onto that model, understand, okay, what's the life of, let's say, the window systems? What's the life of the brick systems? When should we do maintenance? When do we need to clean the building? All that can be integrated into the model. And that's what we mean from BIM to FIM, and utilizing those models through the whole life cycle of the building.
So Dave, I think you answered this question before, but so basically you would provide the owner or the architect what to do in order to eliminate these problems, either a solution or a source for that?
Yes. Yeah, from our perspective as a consultant, sometimes it's a deliverable. It could be a report, it could be a presentation, it could be drawings. So there's different ways that we're able to, after we do our analysis, transfer that information to the client. And it's really about a discussion with them and letting them know what we found. And there's always options. So working through those options with them, the cost, the schedule, the impact on there. Talking about existing buildings. So there's people in these buildings using them every day. And a lot of times that impacts the options and the recommendations we make as well.
I'm sorry, would someone come to you if they're building a new building to get your information on what they should do specifically to keep it safe?
Absolutely. We have a whole service related to as far as what we call it third-party review. So we could work with the owner or the architect and help them fine-tune the design. We also do facade engineering services where we do the design from scratch, right, and we're able to make sure that it's going to perform as intended. So we do commissioning of new construction as well. So
excellent.
Yeah, all and not just the facade, all the full enclosure system. So from ground up, from the basement to the roof.
Steel, all the concrete, all that wonderful stuff.
Yeah, as related to the enclosure systems.
Sure. Okay. Will there be more chats like this in the future, David?
Yeah, definitely. At the bottom here of the slide that we still have, you can see some of the future chats that we have and who's going to be presenting them. Yeah, so they'll be every other Wednesday at the same time, same channel.
Well, this is excellent information. We appreciate the knowledge you have and years of your experience, and we wish you all the continued success and much luck.
Thank you. Thanks for your conversation.
David, Mike Gerp, I just wanted to say great job, and I won't take up any time, but it's very nice to see you. It's been a little while, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Hope we'll be back in touch soon. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone for attending, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.